I like to drive. And so I listen to talk radio, and it is 24/7 of your country is being taken away from you. As far as I can tell, the conservative side or on the right side, they feel an ownership over America. They are the stewards of America. They are its forebearers. Yeah. Exactly. Republicans, conservatives love America. They just hate like 50% of the people living in it. So it's not as though this is inherent only to this country as well. Globalization has created this strange pushback throughout the entire world. You see a lot of countries retreating into nativism, into that type of really...
In fact, there are Trump-like characters all over Europe in different countries.
Yes, right now. Yes. You are run by a tyrant. He is going to take away your rights. We are falling. There are rapists and murderers at the border coming to kill you. If that's what you've been fed and that's what you're buying into, Donald Trump makes more sense than anybody else out there, because he's going, great, let's build the Visigoths are out the gate. Let's build a fucking wall and not let it. It makes total sense.
And you spoke earlier about people who are frightened, because of these changes in the economy that have left them without the kind of future that they thought they would have, and they're eating that up.
Right, but that again, and this gets to the point of
authenticity is what they say.
This gets to the point though of the press versus the campaign, and what we see in the press is they're covering the campaign, but they're not covering veracity. Or, so the exit polls say this is what people think, then someone in the press has to come out and go, wow, people must be assholes, because that's not okay to think. It's not okay to have nostalgia for the Mad Men society and think that ignorance is virtue. And they have twisted this around so that his ignorant pronouncements are somehow a sign of great character. It's like where I grew up, when people go like, hey, look, no disrespect. I'm not saying your mother's a whore. I'm saying, and you're like, I think that's what you're saying. But the idea being that Muslims, hey man, all he's saying is they're evil and shouldn't be allowed in this country. He's just telling it like it is. But God forbid you say happy holidays in December. It's fucking war. So who is it who's exactly sensitive here? We're only talking about what are the trigger points. And the trigger points to me seem to be, on one side, grounded in a certain reality of life that only those with no experience or empathy towards what those individuals are going through are having. And the other seems to be a clinging to a societal paradigm that just doesn't exist anymore and probably never did. When was America great? What is this time that he speaks of? 81 to 82? Like, what are we talking about? And who took your country away from you?
Yeah.
Whose is it? Television journalism was ahead of the game at the Nixon-Kennedy debate. Since then, an entire industry has risen up as to how to manipulate and skew that medium to the advantage of the politicians and the powerful. And the industry, rather than in some ways creating a counterweight to that, have been subsumed by it. And so now it's a symbiosis. The media is no longer predator and prey, which I think should be the relationship, but a remora that's just attached underneath, hoping for crumbs that fall off of the shark. What is it incentivized for? It is incentivized for, here's what you would want it to be incentivized for: clarity. It is incentivized for what? Conflict. The voices that are amplified are the ones that are the most conflict-oriented, the most extreme. Those are the guys that get the airtime. And we used to do this thing every year where we'd bring the press secretaries for all the Senate and all the House people that wanted to come in. And they would say to me, so what can my candidate do to have a successful appearance on your show? And I would say, he could or she could say what she thinks about the issues concerning America.
And they said, is there any other way to
Right.
do it?
But they would say, but what should I tell them? What works best? When people say what they believe. What's that? Yeah, and honestly, like, I know you think that I'm being hyperbolic. I recognize that you don't understand this. I am not.
You know, again, I don't want to sit here as the sort of defender of a system that is badly broken.
Right.
But there are people who do make a difference down
Every
there.
day.
You mentioned Kirsten Gillibrand. There are others who
Sure.
actually go there and try.
But
I always, you know,
the amount of energy that you have to expend. I'll just go along with the 9/11 bill. This is as no-brainer as you can possibly get. This is a horde of zombies would stop their brain-eating rampage to go, yeah, those guys should get some health care. That makes sense.
so run out and find a horde of zombies.
So these guys, for 9 years, had to travel with cancer, with mesothelioma, with low lung function, with heart failure. 9 years of incessant lobbying to move this body, and it only through their lobbying efforts and some measure of public shaming, they relented in the most condescending of ways to finally give into it. If it takes that effort to do something that easy, it is a system that must be, it is self-perpetuating in a way that is dangerous at this point.
You know, but I saw, and you were there doing your thing. I saw people cast votes for the Affordable Care Act who lost their positions. People who voted for cap and trade to try and do something about climate change, who lost their positions, and we should. And there are some who didn't, but we should at least acknowledge that there are those people who are willing to do that.
I guess my point is why in God's name should that be courage? In what world is taking a political stand and trying to affect legislation that should be, and by the way, what's incumbent on those who believe government can make a difference in people's lives is to try and make it more efficient. And I think that's where the Democrats fail in an enormous way, is that in their world, if you believe that government can make a difference in people's lives, well then make the bureaucracy work more efficiently. If you can do an executive order to kill an American citizen from above with a missile, how can you not do an executive order to reevaluate the DOD and the VA system so that you don't spend $1 billion trying to get 2 computer programs to talk to each other when probably 3 of these idiots could do it for $500? It doesn't wash. Yeah. And at some level, and I'll lay the blame then with the Democrats, the door is open to an asshole like Donald Trump because the Democrats haven't done enough to show to people that government that can be effective for people can be efficient for people. And if you can't do that, then you've lost the right to make that change, and someone's going to come in and demagogue you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.